Because of watching anime, I read manga now, and I read a bunch of manga, and I see. And here we go. Yeah, manga's pretty fucking cool, isn't it?
Need to read Chainsaw Man, the manga.
#1 film in the entire world.
When it comes to the dark horse of sports manga, Blue Lock, however, this couldn't be further from the truth.
And lads, today,
I'm always told to check out the manga. Hardly ever am I told check out the anime because the anime is better.
I'm going to talk about why
blood, sweat, and tears that
manga
authors or mangakas
is
the #1 most BUSSIN.
Alright then, boys, girls, and heterosexuals, we're gonna break down the medium of Japanese comics into 3 aspects: art style, engaging / emotional storytelling, and of course fights, because why would I make this video without having fights in it? And yeah, without further ado, let's get to it. Let's get it!
Slowly kisses passing by the river.
You ever just look at an art style and just be like, damn, that nigga ugly. Alright, all jokes aside, I'd say there are some mangakas that are capable of just producing art that is so realistic, it genuinely looks as if that they took God's hand and said, this is what humans look like on paper. Line for line, shadow for shadow, bar for bar. Genuinely, it's incredible, and I think that there are so many manga that have these sorts of expressions, and I feel as if that me personally, Vagabond has to be the best example of it. I'm sorry, I'm gonna show some of that on the screen right now, but you have to be taking the piss if you can't say that this shit looks like real life. I'm sorry, bro. It's not a question. It's a fact. If anybody disagrees with me, put this in the comments right now. Because look at this. Look at the shading. Look at how each specific detail of the landscape is so precise and so nice. Like, in all honesty, the only reason why you could say this is unrealistic is because the world doesn't look this pretty, okay? Sometimes life is not this aesthetic. That's just the honest to God truth. Life just isn't like this, man. More time. And in all honesty, the fact that Takehiko Inoue was able to make a manga, just, first of all, this critically acclaimed because Vagabond slaps in terms of its actual story. But his art in this specific manga is incredible. So fucking good. So yes, in terms of realism, Vagabond to me is king. It just is. It really is. Now obviously, this is a video about one of the most imaginative mediums on the planet. So if I was only going to talk about realism when it comes to the art, I genuinely look like an absolute knobhead. However, that's not the case. And the amount of examples I can give to show spectacle in manga goes far longer than any 24-hour Mr. Beast video, in all honesty. So, I'd say from my limited, quote-unquote limited manga experience, I'd say out of all of the ones I've read, in terms of spectacle, One Punch Man takes the absolute fucking cake. Look at this shit. Look at this. If Vagabond is the extreme of realism, One Punch Man is crack on paper. With a pretty good story to back it up. Like, the amounts of characters that look like a fever dream are almost unlimited, man. Like, I'm not gonna hold you. One just knew what he was doing. And also the fact that one in reality can't really draw to save his life in the actual webcomic of One Punch Man. However, I think his name is Yusuke Murata, who is the artist for the One Punch Man manga, not the webcomic. That is One's full creation. And yes, obviously One is the person that made this story and made these characters, so in his brain there's definitely some next level crack. But Murata, his fingers are just cracked enough to be able to draw One's already mind-bending characters that he imagines. Spoilers in terms of characters, because there will be some characters that some people haven't seen in case, but there are so many characters, man, especially in the most recent arcs, that we're like, wow. Drugs have to be free in Japan. They just have to. They have to be free in Japan. But yes, One Punch Man, in terms of spectacle, absolute king. And if people are looking for the arts that made the Boros versus Saitama fight this good, but for every other arc in the manga, just read the fucking manga, bro. Cool? Cool. But of course, with realism and with spectacle, I think, me personally, one of the biggest parts of art style in manga specifically that I look for is world building. Transport me to the area you're trying to make me think is real. Or not even real, just the drawing needs to be able to be so good or so enticing that it either makes me want to be there or it transports me there completely through my own imagination. And clearly, Eiichiro Oda knows what he's doing to make that possible. Because regardless of some of the arcs in One Piece that might be slow with pacing or might not necessarily be as good as other arcs, every single world in One Piece is engaging and interesting from art alone. From art alone. You cannot tell me that the art does not make you want to be there. I'm sorry, you can't. You can't. You genuinely can't, especially in the Wano arc now. Yo. And also, since we are talking about Eiichiro Oda's magnus opus being One Piece, his evolution in his artwork from 1997 to now is insane, and I always will recommend people to read this work, and I will always say that you should support this man and what he's doing, because I'm not gonna hold you, regardless of storytelling, like I mentioned earlier, looking at these worlds, I want to be there. Deadass. I just want to be there because of how sick everywhere looks. Honestly. From Punk Hazard, like I said, the Wano arc before, Alabasta, fucking Marine Ford, fire. Every single one of them is just cold. I say these three aspects are definitely the things that make art style in manga so appealing to me.
Huh? I just got this nose.
Oh shit, not good.
Fuck! You got knocked the fuck out, man! Give me my gun!
Now, I already know what majority of you guys are going to say. Why wouldn't you just talk about fights in anime? Why talk about fights in manga? It's just drawings. Shut the fuck up. Stop talking. Clearly, you guys have not seen certain things that have not been animated yet. Okay? There are just certain scenes that haven't been done yet. Certain anime have not been made. Or the anime has been made, but it's done an absolute atrocity. Just an abomination. to the entire show. And I'm going to show you all of the manga that you need to read to see some of the craziest fights, man. The first one that I'm going to start off with is Record of Ragnarok. Only a manga where you'll see the great god Zeus, Big Daddy Zeus here, fight Adam. As per Adam and Eve. And the scrap is ridiculous. Okay, like, that fight is so immaculate and so good. I'm telling you, the amount of vibes that I just felt as it just kept on upping the scale and upping the abilities as it's going. Like, the perfect way I can describe Record of Ragnarok is that it's basically what happens when you really just say, hey, let's take all of the world's cultures, from the mythology to even certain people in real life that actually did things and were helpful in humanity's development. And let's say, why not make them scrap? Why not? Why not make them scrap? That's basically what Record of Ragnarok does. It is, in my opinion, one of the best in terms of complete fantasy in manga. It really is. Because nobody's here for story. Nobody, I'm telling you for right now, there's no story in this. It's just scraps. We're here to see niggas' heads get beaten in. Completely. But it's vibes though, because majority of the people here were the niggas you were learning in history class. Do you get what I'm saying? Solid. Don't watch the anime of it, by the way. It's trash. Just don't waste your time. It's okay. So yes, while Record of Ragnarok is probably like, in terms of spectacle in manga and fights, it's pretty up there in terms of what you lot should check out. However, Sunken Rock is what happens when you say, let's get a mafia boss and let's make this mafia boss really stupid, but also really good at fighting. That's basically the entirety of it, if I'll be entirely honest. At least to what I've read up to so far. Now with this one, the story is a bit better. It is quite graphic, if I'll be entirely honest. It's not the most pleasing to the eyes from time to time, but the fights are so cold and realistic. Like, yes, obviously there is a couple of scenes where you'll see somebody fall from a building and then he's just in the hospital and he's not dead. And the building was quite high. You know what I mean? Or some Jumpman shit. But I think in general, Sunken Rock definitely has that realistic yet still quite fun type of combat in manga. And I think if you're trying to see just some cold shit in manga that goes hard, definitely read Sunken Rock. It's such a vibe. It's so good. It's so good. And now, my personal favorite out of this list in the fights part, Kingdom. The mix of fantasy and the realism with just bare fucking blood, bro. Like, I'm sorry, but Kingdom goes hard as fuck, bro. Kingdom goes crazy. Like, I'm trying not to say plot points from all of these different mangas so that you lot can go read them. Because in terms of story, Kingdom is easily the best I've mentioned. And in terms of fights, Kingdom is easily the most strategical because it's about war. If any of you have read The Art of War, that's basically the period that it's based. That whole Sun Tzu type period in China. And when you see how the main character develops and grows and becomes so fucking cold, and how all of these other characters continuously develop strategies so that their nation becomes the strongest nation, and how they're all battling for a sense of, we have to be the best and we have to win. Because if we don't win, we're getting bodied. Like, there's no mercy. Everybody is getting chefed on some real thing. Yeah, Kingdom is not the most child-friendly as well. None of these are child-friendly. The most child-friendly manga that I've mentioned so far is Record of Ragnarok. That's it. That's it, Spirit. That's it. But it's so fucking cold, though. It's so cold. To me personally, if there's anything that's going to make somebody that watches this video that doesn't know anything about manga to actually go and read it, it is the emotional / engaging storytelling that you see in so many different types of manga. But the one that I'm going to mention now, which has an anime and is getting a season 2 that is very, very good. However, I would say before that comes out, you should experience it in its purest form, which is Vinland Saga. Vinland Saga always seemed very backed up by hype. It was never a show that I heard of before the season 1 of the anime came out. And once that happened, everybody started telling me to go watch that, go play Assassin's Creed Valhalla, just get into Vikings in general. And that just shows the impact that Vinland Saga has had on the anime community. Now, am I saying that Vikings have never been popular or never been cool in media in general? No, I'm not saying that, but it definitely hasn't been to anime fans. I can say that for a fact. So regardless of its impact in the community, the story of Vinland Saga, to me, is one of the best ways I have seen a coming of age story ever in manga. To see the development of Thorfinn as such a young and traumatically affected child become such a peace-loving man that would never hurt anybody, ever. That is so willing to be focused on peace. He'll go to an island, not knowing anybody there, not knowing anything that could happen to him, ignoring all of the possibilities of war, and saying, I will push for peace until the day I die. And just seeing, especially now, because the manga is still going, it's still very, very ongoing and still getting better. But just to see that what his father said at the beginning of the manga, seeing that if he had just followed through what he said, his life would have been so much easier. So much easier. However, unfortunately, that doesn't make that much of an interesting story now, does it? And not just in terms of the relationship that he had with his father, which we don't get to see that much of because his dad dies very quickly, but to see how the irony of loving somebody so much that you don't take the advice of what they're telling you because they're gone. And you're so focused on doing something to get the closure of them being gone that you don't even listen to what they were trying to say to you while they were still alive. Now, I can't personally relate to that, but I know that that's damn good writing. For sure. And I've only said one aspect about the main character. I've not even started to break down the insane life of Askeladd and all of the other larger than life yet so grounded characters of Thorkel or anybody else in this entire manga. So read it, because I promise you will not regret seeing something that came out of the seinen genre that nobody expected to be as big as it is now. The funny thing about the manga I'm going to mention right now is that, in all honesty, you guys should probably wait for the anime. I'm not gonna lie. This is gonna be pretty short. You should probably wait for the anime because I've seen and heard very, very good things about it. And the name of this is Mushoku Tensei, about this 30-year-old NEET that's down on his luck, has basically self-isolated himself, no COVID, and has really seen so many bad choices that he's made in his life that has led him to be so alone and so desperate for anything to make him happy again, because he's not happy. He's leading a life to where you can objectively say there was no value in it at that point. And I don't like stating things like that or having opinion about certain people's life choices. That's not my place. But reading this, I think anybody would have my exact opinion on that. Now, what makes this better is that this guy gets hit by a truck while trying to save some high school girls and gets transported into another world where he's Rudy's Grey Rat. This complete prodigy that is just so good at magic and so intelligent and so smart and legitimately the opposite of him. And at this point, he now has to figure out how to become a better person while being given a chance by the god of this universe to save said universe. And that's a rough overview of it. But me personally, the main reason why I like this manga is that it basically shows that it doesn't matter how old somebody is or how far gone their life has been. At the end of the day, anybody can change given the right opportunity, in the right scenario, and being in the right environment. And writing off somebody that might be in a very, very dark pit of despair right now, it could lead them to only staying on that path. So I'm telling you and all of your friends that if you know anybody that is in any way, shape, or form similar to the guy that I'm showing on your screen right now, help them out. Or at least try to, as long as it's not damaging to yourself. Cool? Cool. Finally, we come to the end of this video with the final manga that we'll be saying. And I think it's going to be very unexpected for people that know me personally, which is Hatsukoi Zombie. Yes, a romance manga. That's what I'm talking about. Ski.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
this nobody has hijacked my microphone, I swear. I promise you. Yeah, man. This is really good and really emotional. And it really talks about how suppressing your own feelings and suppressing yourself and not putting yourself out there because you think you're going to get hurt based on your previous interactions with relationships. And I genuinely think that it's one of the few manga that I've read personally that do this in a very interesting and mystery type way. And basically, to summarize the main, well, quote-unquote blow of the story, there's a guy named Taro, and he calls himself an energy-saving man. Well, as I like to call him, Solar Panel Man. And he kind of lives his life very bland. He doesn't have a quote-unquote great amount of friends. He has his best friend, and he keeps himself. He doesn't talk about relationships or love at all with his best friend. And then one day, he gets hit in the head with a baseball that was hit by his childhood friend. And he's there unconscious and just praying to God that before he dies, at least let him find love and experience it for once. And then a ghost appears. A ghost, this cute girl just appears, floating above him. And that's all I'll say for now, because that's basically the first chapter. But there's so many developments in this story and so many points where you really start to think, is everybody's first love really the person that they should be with? Because in reality, the person that you think you know, the person that you think that you used to know, might not really be the same person that you know now. And frankly, I can say that with my experience, I have no experience with love. What do you think this is? Deuces!